Esto es Sound the Leftovers.
Hello.
Y cada
Boop,
vez
boop, boop.
peor, cada vez peor. Ay, oh
Hey,
my
you're talking
goodness.
in Spanish. This is in English.
This is in English. Yeah, you know, everybody should know that our prior conversations all the time are in English, are in Spanish.
Uh,
Uh,
they're always in Spanish, and then we switch over in English for this last second, and this is what we do. Yeah.
yeah, right.
Hey, hey there, ANC universe. It's good to join you again. It's been several weeks. We had Stan up, and then we had Catherine the Great, we call her. And so for those 2 weeks, I didn't jump on here, so it's been a nice little break. But we're back doing our shenanigans. We're back in there messing things up from our from our
Yeah,
little
yeah, yeah.
pulpit
That's
in
the
South Austin.
expression, messing things up. That's right.
That's
That's
right.
right.
I like that. If you go online to our website, it should say, "Hey, Austin New Church, just here messing things up." That would be cute. Oh no,
Right.
but for reals, I feel um, so. So I feel in the downstream after the waterfalls that we just came down. I had a little anxiety around saying some of the things that I said because I
Oh,
know
really?
how they can be disruptive. Yeah, a little bit, just because I know how they can be
Oh,
disruptive to people who are set in their ways. So it was a great relief to get it done. And then afterwards, went out to a nice big lunch. Those of you who are not in town, if you ever are in town, whenever there's a calendar, first Sunday of the calendar month, whether that be anywhere from the first through the seventh of the month, um, we always invite everyone, especially new folks or visitors, to go with us to lunch afterwards. And so the euphoria of sort of saying the words that I said, we'll get to those in a second, but the euphoria, and then after just going out and enjoying the company of good people who have journeyed a long way together to where we can get to the place where we can say together in unison, we will no longer build our faith out of fear. That just was a very real euphoria for me on Sunday. It felt like such a relief. I don't know if it was that I'm proud of us or that I'm proud of my team, the pastoral team, or if I'm
you
proud of
know,
the
for
journey, but
those
it.
for those who didn't heard your message,
Hmm.
what did you talk?
You
What did you
big
say?
chump,
What did you
you big
say?
chupacabras down there in Chile. I said that the devil is from Chile.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
And he wears a real evil scarf. No. So okay, let me just summarize where we went.
Yeah.
Not that long ago, we talked about hell and how I went on record as saying essentially that the hell that I was taught to believe in as a child has never really made sense to me, and I just no longer am willing to leave the subject silent. So you had to know if if hell is on the chopping block, and I don't think it is what we thought it was, and I don't think 98% of people ever born are going to go there. I think that's an absolute load of horse feathers, as we would say here in Texas. Um, you had to know after touching on hell, we were going to eventually touch on the composite, cartoonish figure that is the devil.
Right.
And so the passage that that came to us through the lectionary. You know, you guys know I don't pick these passages, right? So those of you out there in the blogosphere or out there in the virtual land who think, oh, he's intentionally designing sermons to upset people and disrupt things, that's not it at all, friends. This passage came to us from the lectionary, and it is the passage in Matthew 18 where in a pretty tightly choreographed series of face-to-face encounters with the disciples and then with the leaders in Jerusalem, there's a pivot in Jesus. At this point, he turns himself towards Jerusalem. John the Baptist had been beheaded. Jesus knew full well what was going to happen to him if he continued persistently speaking truth against power. He turns into the city. He gathers two crowds at once, his disciples that he's finishing the process of readying them for what's next, and the religious elite who are listening to everything he's saying. And Peter, at one point, he turns to them and he says, "Guys, I'm going to Jerusalem. You're coming with me, and this is going to be painful. They're gonna take my life, and on the third day, I'm going to rise." And Peter, flying in off of the elite superpower status of just having named, just in recent conversations, that Jesus was, in fact, the Son of God, the one that they've been waiting for. Jesus says, "This is the rock upon which I'll build my church." On the hot air lift of that sort of confession, Peter feeling like the rock, He pulls Jesus aside and he says, "That's not happening. No way we're going to let that happen over my dead body," essentially in Aramaic. To which Jesus looks at him and he says, "Satan, I know you by name. Get behind me because this isn't happening." And so here's the conversation. Who is Satan? What is Satan?
Yes.
Where is Satan? Is the world in play? Is there this huge arch rivalry between the gods, or fine God, or however you want to say it? Is there's this huge war where Earth is at play and they're duking it out, and if you don't live right, then they're going to give too much power to the devil. If we live right, then we're going to be able to stand against. Is this what we have, or is this ancient superstition passed down to us in the form of a very predictable Greek epic battle where one power is pitted against the other, and the little wayward church is stuck here in the middle in play? I just don't think that's the way the world is. And here's how I know. And I've known this since I was a child. Satan doesn't walk up on this conversation between Peter and Jesus. Satan rose from within Peter. The satanic voice that rose from within Peter was the voice that said, "There will be no death with victory. There will be no suffering with gain. There will be no loss with love." Jesus says, "They'll take my life." Listen closely. "I'm going to come back again. They can't take that life." He didn't hear that second piece. Peter heard, they're gonna murder me. And Peter
Right.
resolutely says, "There can be no murder with victory." That, my friend, is the Satan. And that, my friend, lives in all of us. So we could name that
But-
bunch of things. We could name that
but you
resistance.
know, it's-
We could name that.
But it's so
Right.
comfortable to have someone to blame for
That's right.
things that we should take responsibility.
Here's an example. Yes, here's an example. And I said this in the sermon. You would have heard this had you listened, but apparently you didn't. You're doing other things. When I was growing up, here's what I always heard: we lose the car keys, we're late for an appointment. This is the devil's work, right? Or the car breaks down. The car breaks down.
devil's-
Here's an
yeah.
example. Yeah, I remember the epic missionary journey we took where we had to drive a worn out, barely functioning 1982 Suburban truck. This would have been, by this point, it would have been 1989 probably, or 1990. We had to drive this thing like 4,000 miles. We had bad tires because we were poor. We couldn't replace the tires. And when tire popped, number 1, number 2, number 3, I think we blew 4 tires on that trip. It was all the devil's work. Apparently that week, you could go anywhere you wanted in the world, do anything you wanted. The devil was tied up with a blue 1982 4-door V8 Suburban driving its way from Mexico back to Florida because we had the devil full-time attention because he was
Right.
blowing up our tires. I mean, that's the kind of silliness that was in the world that I grew up in. And I'm just telling you, let's take fear and let's pull it away from faith. Let's just be people of faith that say, we live in a good world. There's a lot of setbacks. That doesn't mean love even has an enemy. I don't think God has an enemy. The earth is not in play. We're not spiraling down towards an abyss.
Well,
We are moving through planes of consciousness. Yeah.
there's the narrative of the dualism is super comfortable for people because it helps us to explain the evil in the world. It helps us to explain bad things. When you have this dualism, it's super easy. There's a good, there's a bad. So when you destroy the dualism, and because to be honest, I said this several times in Amor Original, Christians, we claim to be monotheist, but if we put the devil in that place, we are not really monotheist people. We are just dualist people that is a god against another god. Actually, the text says something about the devil is the god of this world. So it's like this God's battle, which is very, very root into the ancient mythology. We need to have a different approach in the 21st century if we want to take care of this world and our neighbor.
Yeah, I ultimately, I didn't say it exactly this way on Sunday, but ultimately I think it's a lazy move to say the source of evil in the world is something outside myself. It's this other character that floats around in the ether that hates God, that like makes us want to smoke weed.
That's right.
The other funny thing about Satan and the devil is you listen over time to how people attribute certain things as, devilish or demonic or satanic. Those
Right.
things change. Those things literally change. So like what used to be, oh, that's Satan. Well, we reserve the right to change that as we go. It's just utter complete superstition, friends. What is it that Dr. Judd says is we got to take the woo out of what does he say? We got to take the woo out of wisdom. We got to take the superstition out of faith, friends. This is the thing. That was a poor quote, Dr. Judd. If you're watching, he's probably not watching, but we have to take the weirdness out of this. There is no other example of things that we take from the ancient world and bring them into the moment now and say, this is how everything works. If we did that, we would still be trying to create jewels and diamonds out of base material. Before there
Right.
was chemistry, there was alchemy. Before there was natural science where we can build things in laboratories, we had high hopes that we could create precious things out of base materials if we banged them and heated them and yelled and screamed at them. Friends, we've moved past that. I say we take the same approach to our ancient faith. I don't hold it against Paul for seeing a realm of spiritual warfare. I don't hold it against Peter or Jesus or James or any of the originals. I don't hold it against them. They saw what they could see from their perspective, and the reality is,
Right.
friends,
Right.
love has no rival. God is not wringing God's hands in some heavenly ether, hoping that we don't listen to secular music so that we can tip the scales in favor of righteousness. Friends, what a bizarre and absolutely scary world that is. That's not what things are made of. That's not how it actually works, in my opinion. So,
That's right.
what we're doing here in the little church on South Austin, with no great accolades and no huge attention, it doesn't matter. We're doing good, deep work in a few people's lives. This is not for the masses. And if this upsets you, go back to what brings you comfort. If you need a devil in a hot place that whispers to people and tells them to speed and tells them to like steal stuff, I don't know. If you need a world
Yeah. Yeah.
in
Yeah.
which to feel safe, where God and the devil are at war, keep that world. I'm just saying, I think it's time to, like Sean McConnell says, fear was never a good reason to believe in anything. It just wasn't. Love is far more compelling. So, all
Oh
that said,
yes. Oh,
we're moving into
preach.
space now where we are going to sit squarely with some parables of Jesus. But it's funny how the lectionary, in its weird, in its very strange wisdom, always seems to drop these stones just in the right path. We needed to look at the conversation between Peter and Jesus before we go deep into the parables. And I think when Jesus is describing, because the preaching series that we're in, we've titled it, what have we titled it? Oh, wouldn't it be nice? I could see the graphic, but I couldn't remember. Wouldn't it be
Wouldn't
nice?
it be
Here's the
nice?
thing. Wouldn't it be nice? Wouldn't it be nice if we didn't wrap faith with such weird fear? Wouldn't it be nice if faith could just be faith and fear could be the work that we process through because love is dissolving that slowly in our life? Wouldn't it be nice if we didn't look at the world and walk around the world every day terrified that we're going to make a bad decision and somehow we're going to burn forever? Wouldn't it be nice if love was just love and the gospel set things free and we didn't have to populate some hot burning place with some evil presence? I just think it would be great. It's a great exercise to go through mentally as we go into the parables. He's talking about forgiveness this coming week. Boy, you want to live in a hell on earth? Go ahead, live in unforgiveness with people that you love.
Oh yes.
We're making
Oh yeah.
we're making earthy reality out of the gospel that used to live in some cartoonish other land, and that's just the work we're up to. Now, that's not for everyone. I get it. If it alarms you, tune it out. But that's what we're up to here. So there you have it. That was our that was last Sunday.
It was
It was
great.
fun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I can't wait for the next sermon and the next challenge.
yeah.
It's great.
Well,
It's great
I
to
don't know
listen.
how much. I don't know how much harder we can chop at the base of the
But,
tree. But
but
I
well,
think what
maybe
we're
it's,
left with.
yeah.
I
Anything
think what
after
we're
after hell and the devil, it will be a
yeah
release. It will be very
yeah
peaceful for people. Those are very
yeah
chunk pieces of our old old
yeah.
religion.
Well, the good news is we're on to forgiveness this week, and that's super easy, and everybody is just super comfortable with forgiving everyone. So anyway, good stuff ahead. It's good to see your face, bro. I'm jealous it's winter. It's still hot here, but we love it.
Yeah, I know. But It's a little bit cooler right now, right? Not so hot.
I mean, Texans, we will celebrate a drop of 2 degrees. It's a cold
Yeah,
front for
yeah,
us if
yeah.
it drops 2 degrees. So that's where we are. But it's
That's
okay.
true. Well,
So, all right, man.
so
Love
this
you.
is
Be
love you
well.
too. See ya.
Oh,
We are the worst.